I been told y'all cussing was a love language, so technically, I love you. Be advised. Hey y'all, I'm Jenn. I'm from Oakland, and I'm an androgynous, black, lesbian feminist, and a lover of all black people.
This is Daren. I'm an asexual novelist, researcher, and bona fide comic book fanatic from the widest part of Southern California.
Orange County. We're queer millennials with 3 kids and nearly 20 years of marriage.
This is a podcast about the realities of blackness, adulting, and relationships.
This is That Black Couple. Hi.
Hey.
We're back again.
back again.
I'm so excited about this.
Why are you excited?
Because I feel like, it's always fun to have a double header episode where we have a 2-parter.
Mm-hmm.
But especially these episodes, because I'm like, oh, shit is getting real. Like, the stakes are real. And I feel like we already lived through some of this. And we were podcasting during the COVID era, during the Trump administration.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're about to be doing it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a weird excitement because I feel oddly prepared this time.
I mean, to me, I kind of feel like it's like you have the third eye and you can see into the future.
Right.
But everybody else can't.
Right.
And you're like, oh,
man. Right.
Just if you could only see what I see.
As a black woman, I feel very much like Neo. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I can see the Matrix. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, well, this is episode 7 of season 7. So lucky. This feels very special.
7-7.
It sounds very fortuitous. Is that a good word for this? Fortuitous?
Fortuitous, yes.
And this episode we're calling, after an Aaliyah Sheffield song, Earth is Ghetto, I Wanna Leave. I really like this song.
And it's because Earth is ghetto.
Earth is so ghetto.
And I would really like to get out of here.
I would like to get out of here. If y'all don't know that song, she goes through this whole conversation about how ghetto it is here and how she's going to wear bright colors so she's easy to see. And she's like, please beam me up. Come
on.
I'm sick of these people.
She's like, I'll be over by the corner store. Come
she
get
tells
me.
the location, come get me.
She said she got 5 on gas and
Literally,
everything.
she's ready to go. And you know what? That's one of my favorite songs. It's probably one of my most played songs all year. And I feel like for the next 4 years, that will be my most played song.
It's a great song if you want to commiserate.
Yes.
But you don't have people around at the moment. It's like you just commiserating with her.
It's you and Aaliyah. And you both feel the same way. And she's saying exactly anyway, we have to start the episode. This is That Black Couple. I'm drinking a Coca-Cola.
Okay, caffeine.
And I want to be honest about that.
It's fine.
That's like my drink. It really is my drink.
I mean everything in moderation.
Everything in moderation. I drink a lot of kombucha and a lot of water. But also, them Cokes look how pretty she is. Look at her.
I know she almost empty.
She is almost empty. I'm about to fuck that Coca-Cola up. So y'all drink what you want to drink. You know what?
Because I have also recently, in the wake of the election, I went and I said, you know what? I'm gonna drink what I want to drink.
Yeah.
And you know what I love? I love iced tea.
Yep.
But not just any iced tea.
Mm-hmm.
I like the iced tea that you get from Red Lobster where they mix it with cranberry juice. And they closed the only Red Lobster we had here.
That's true.
So, you know what I did? I brewed my own iced tea.
I saw.
And I mixed it with my own cranberry juice.
You did.
And that shit is lit. And I'm drinking it.
You know what?
And I feel good about it.
Good for you. And that's what I want people to do this episode. You drink whatever the hell you want to drink. We've been drinking kombucha and water all damn year. And you know what? Fuck that shit right now. Fuck that shit right now. Just fuck that shit right now.
Do what makes you feel good.
Do what feels good. You drink whatever the hell you want to drink. Just not Starbucks.
Yeah.
We're not going back to Starbucks, y'all. Anyway, have a seat. This is That Black Couple. I'm Jenn.
I'm Daren.
And before we get started, make sure you follow us on Instagram and Threads at That BLK Couple, on Facebook at That Black Couple, and look us up on the internets at www.thatblackcouple.com.
And you already know you can stream our episodes everywhere. Everywhere podcast episodes are streamed, you can stream us there. And I also want to plug the new thing that we just did, where we set up a Substack.
We did. For Color Convos Media, our parent company.
Color Convos Media now has a Substack.
Yep.
I want you to go. I want you to subscribe. We're going to keep having content on there.
Yeah.
Opportunities for writing,
monthly newsletters,
reads, all type of stuff.
Yeah, and also be a paid subscriber.
Yeah, because you'll get the extra stuff.
Because this isn't free.
No, it's not, and you'll see. It's a lot of labor we put in because we love y'all.
We run this out of our basement.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Okay, Earth is ghetto. I want to leave. You ready to start this episode?
All right. So, the first thing that we are going to talk about is COVID.
Yes.
Because guess what? COVID is real.
Yes, it is.
And COVID is here.
That's correct.
I just had COVID.
I did not.
I don't know how you dodged.
I don't know either. I don't know how all four of y'all had COVID and I sat in this house and did not get COVID.
I mean, we tried to stay away from you. We tried to keep
y'all didn't try. I sequestered myself. I removed myself from the family.
And listen, with this family, it's hard to keep us all separate like that. We all
11-year-old, he needs a hug every 39 seconds.
Right. And we somehow all as a group, had a successful group project.
Okay, first of all, we're going to tell the truth about this. Our 16-year-old got sick with COVID, was walking around wiping his nose with his damn fingers. And I was like, hey, don't you think you should test for COVID? He was like, nah, Mom, I'm good. And I said, no, I think you should probably test for COVID because, you said you're not feeling good and your back hurts. He said, okay, I guess I'll test. And then they had COVID. I said, go in your room. We are not you can't hang out with us. I'm sorry. You can't, no more puzzles for you. No more Mario Party. You go stay in your room, hang out with your friends online, and we'll throw you food. And that's what we did. It
was literally like we would drop food right in his door frame.
Yep.
And then close the door.
And I had him wear a mask and wash his hands when he entered anywhere else in the house. I don't like germs. And that's how we should be behaving when COVID enters our space. And then the 11-year-old got it because he trifling. And then the 13-year-old got it. And then you got it.
Mm-hmm. Because I was the one that had to go deliver things to people.
But you wasn't wearing a mask.
No, I wasn't.
Okay, so let's just be honest. And know who didn't get it? Me. I didn't get it. I'm just trying to tell you. Anyway, back to what you were saying. Yes, we got COVID. When you say we, exclude me. Okay? We're just making sure I'm not in that number.
Yes, you were excluded. But the whole point, we say all of that to say that COVID it's still here, y'all.
Very much so.
I know we like to say, the COVID moment was traumatic and we just want to act like it didn't exist and it never happened and it was just a long extended nightmare that we just did all together as a world. But it was real. And COVID never went away.
No, it didn't.
And you can still get it. People are still getting sick. People are still dying.
That's true.
So you need to still protect yourself from
Hospitals are still strained right now from the effects of COVID. And I this came up for me a lot when y'all were sick. I kept thinking about the fact that all this year I've been on this book tour and I had to work really, really hard not to get sick. That was one of my biggest fears, was that I was going to get sick on the road, and I did not get COVID at all this year. I still don't quite understand how I dodged COVID this whole time. But I've been masking. I don't play by my antibacterial. Every time I came back home, I restocked all my supplies. I have a lot of airport hand sanitization wipes, and I've been carrying those with me, I'm not gonna lie, in a little Ziploc bag. I'm very meticulous with regards to, this virus, and I just wish more people were, because I feel like I'm evidence that if you actually do try your best, you can actually avoid spreading and getting COVID-19. Mm-hmm. But what also concerns me about this is that I've also seen that in a lot of instances, I'm the only person doing this. I'm the only person. And I've been going through Atlanta Airport, which is the biggest and busiest airport in the world. They don't be having no masks. I mean, I didn't see anybody at Atlanta Airport with a mask. I would say maybe 1 out of every 20 people I see, 25 people I see has on a mask, to the point where I wore a mask one day to campus after you all got sick with COVID. I still was testing negative. And I was nervous about just going to campus because I was like, oh, you could be a carrier, so I'm going to wear a mask. Mm-hmm. And people were asking me if I was okay. And I said, why? They said, well, you're wearing a mask. And I was like, wait, what type of reverse logic? You think that I'm not okay because I'm wearing a mask?
Well,
not that I'm trying to prevent other people getting sick or doing what you're supposed to do?
That's what really concerns me about the whole masking situation, because you think about all the people you're coming across, right? And remember, like, when COVID hit and we were all wearing masks and stuff, the whole point was, like, if you're someone who's at higher risk, you got to really be a little bit more careful.
Yeah.
And if you're walking through the Atlanta airport and you don't see a single mask, we know there are people that are high risk.
Absolutely.
That, again, are at risk of just death as an outcome.
Absolutely. That
are not masked.
Absolutely.
Because again, I think the moment was so traumatic that people don't want to face the truth and the reality of what's going on. But lives are at stake.
I flew to Colombia. I was in international terminals. I was looking like, wait, this is scary, and I just think that it's important for us to use that as a lens to understand, like, the election and why Earth is ghetto, and the fact that these are the people who we have to share Earth with, the people who don't believe in climate change and climate science, and the people who don't trust academics because they think that education is evil and indoctrinating our children. And these are the people. The same people who acted like COVID was a hoax and now are just walking around like it never happened. And that makes me nervous.
Yeah, and it should.
This podcast is supported by generous donations from our patrons and listeners. Become a supporter today by heading to www.patreon.com/colorcombosmedia.
You can stream the show on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and SoundCloud. When you listen, please consider hitting that heart button, sharing, giving us a 5-star rating, and leaving some dope comments. This helps us with our page rankings and gets more listeners for the show. Thank you so much.
And we're back.
We are.
And it's time for the conversation, which unfortunately in this case means we're going to talk about some heavy stuff.
I mean, yeah, it's a heavy moment. We debriefing from an election.
But again, kind of referencing what you were talking about during First Things First, like, I've been struggling these last couple of days because I have this, like, I feel like this sinister glee that's inside of me.
Yes.
Because I'm looking at the world and the direction that it's going.
I know.
And seeing it's like seeing that a car is going to go over the cliff.
I know.
And everyone in the car is just like living their life like they're not about to go over the cliff. And I'm like,
hey y'all, it's a cliff right there.
They don't even see it, and I can see the whole thing, right? And so all those people that voted for Trump and were like, "Oh, it's gonna be fine. Oh,
he won't actually shut down the Department of Education.
What he's gonna do is gonna hurt other people, not me.
He's not gonna deport me. Okay. I know I'm Latinx, and he might not care that I'm a citizen, but he wouldn't do that to me.
I mean, I'm not a criminal, so."
Yeah, and he's going to think about that when he deports people. He's going to have, I mean, him being a felon and a criminal, he's going to care about that. Right?
That's where the glee comes from.
Yeah. You get what you voted for.
Right? And a big thing, like when you think about like what people voted for, is Project 2025.
They did vote for that.
Like, as we talked about in our last episode, Black women done told y'all.
Yeah, we did.
Project 2025 came out and Kamala was like, hey y'all, it's bad.
Hey, look y'all.
Open it and read it.
It's a lot of pages of a lot of really awful things.
All the people that wrote this are people that work for Trump or used to work for Trump or Trump friends. Or these are all Trump people and they wrote this and they're giving it to Trump.
They're saying the quiet part out loud. Everyone listen to them.
And then niggas didn't look at it?
Then they did not only not look at it, they said he wouldn't do that when they did look at it.
Right.
They didn't even believe him when he told them. Maya Angelou said, when people tell you who they are, believe them the first time. They said, nah, Maya, you exaggerating. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And that's how it goes. Done told y'all. Y'all didn't listen. And now we're here. And now Project 2025, really, I mean, honestly, it's kind of coming. And I will say this on that point, right? So a lot of people say, oh, this is not something he came up with. He said he doesn't know what it is. He said he didn't play a part in this.
We should believe him,
This is not true, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But the thing that people forget is, like, number one, Trump was president before.
Yes.
And back when he was president, the Heritage Foundation came out with this thing called a mandate for leadership.
Correct.
It was going into his first term. They put this out, and it was basically the same type of thing. Like, hey, we voted you in. Here's the things that you should do. Here's the guidebook. Here's the playbook. Just do what we say. And 2 years into the presidency, the Heritage Foundation was like, he did 64% of the stuff that we said.
Yeah.
64%, y'all.
Yeah.
64%.
Here's one of the things that people haven't realized also. Donald Trump has something called Agenda 47.
Yep.
And I don't know if we're thinking about the fact that this makes him the 47th president now. But Agenda 47 sounds like he wrote a pretty clear plan for his next term.
Yeah, I mean, Agenda 47 is that's his thing. Like he actually came up with that one.
Right. And Agenda 47 is almost identical to Project 2025. Some of the language and the verbiage is almost identical.
Mm-hmm.
They look like sister documents. So it's very strange for people to act like there's no connection between these things when they have the same themes, the same policies, and I believe the same people behind them, the same advisors.
Yeah, more or less. It's the same ecosystem.
Right. So it's very, I still don't quite understand. I don't quite understand if the person is saying, hey, it's me. Look at my hands. Bloody. I did it. They're like, no, not you.
It's because a black woman
You're
said
right.
it.
My bad. I forgot that part.
And so it didn't count.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Now that she's gone, we can see things. But before it was like a Scooby-Doo mask was over it. We didn't know what it was.
You're right. It was like, oh, it's a red herring.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
My bad.
Now, a quick conversation on what Project 2025 is, right? It's built up of 4 pillars. It's basically 4 kind of things that build like what this big project is about. It's a policy guide. There's a database of people who would serve in the administration. There's training for candidates that would be called the Presidential Administration Academy. This sounds so draconian. It's fun. And also a playbook of things to do within the first 180 days. So basically, again, it's just like, hey, you're going to be president. Here's all the things you should do. So you don't have to think at all. Yes. We've done all the thinking for you.
Correct.
Right? Now, there's so many things in here. It's a long document, and I get it. People don't like reading. I understand. But just to cherry pick some of the things that are in Project 2025. I know there's, in the election, a big conversational point was abortion. Like,
absolutely.
How do we save abortion? Is abortion what's gonna happen? Yeah. Well, in Project 2025, it says, okay, the FDA, you should just get rid of mifepristone. I know for the last 24 years, you've been like, yeah, this is a good drug. We can give this to people. Just decide no. Let's not do that anymore.
What does this drug do?
So mifepristone is what they call the abortion pill, right? It's a pill that you can get as a prescription to basically have an abortion at home.
So this is what we call Plan B?
Right. Basically like early.
Got it.
Early in pregnancy.
Before the egg fully implants itself.
Right. So you're not having to go, actually have a procedure or anything.
Yeah.
Right. And it's widely used. Yeah. Around the whole country.
Yeah.
And if you remember in this whole abortion debate when Roe v. Wade got reversed, this was the thing that people were holding on to say, well, okay, we don't have protection at a federal level, right? But technically, we can still get mifepristone in different states, even if abortion has been quote unquote banned in our state. Yeah. Now imagine that goes away.
I know.
It's Project 2025.
Yeah.
Also, there's a lot of talk of like getting rid of or downsizing or like just squishing agencies together. Yeah. Like things like the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. It's called NOAA. That includes things like the National Weather Service. And also things like Homeland Security. Yeah. And the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Now you might think the National Weather Service, that's not that important. Right?
Who thinks that?
If they downsize it a little bit, some cost cutting, tighten your belts
or
whatnot.
That.
But the agenda, you have to also remember there's an agenda behind these things. The whole agenda behind this is to say climate change ain't real.
Exactly.
And when you have scientists at the National Weather Service that are saying, look, here's climate
evidence.
change. We can see it. We're scientists
Just
and we're
shut down
proving
the
it
agency.
out. We'll just make them go away.
That's right.
Right. That sounds like a great plan, right?
Right. Just ignore it. Close your eyes real tight.
Also, immigration.
Right.
Big thing during all the debates, during the whole election, right? So now we're going to just go back to building the border wall.
Of course.
Also, this is one of my favorites. Project 2025 says, let's get active duty military and the National Guard to start arresting people along the southern border. Let's just literally militarize the border.
Yes.
We'll just arrest people. We'll shoot them. We'll kill them.
Yes.
That sounds like a great plan. Nothing will ever go wrong in that situation.
No.
I think this is a solid plan for making America great again.
Absolutely.
But also, it's calling to actually end ongoing federal efforts to combat online disinformation and threats to security. Like, why would you do that? Why would you say, hey, we want more information that's incorrect to be given to our citizens?
Sounds like a sprinkle of fascism. Is that me?
Is that what I smell?
I think so. It's a little fascist.
Smells like that.
Yeah.
They also want to politicize the Census Bureau. These are things you don't even think about. Like, what? The census?
Oh my god.
Wait, you want to fuck up the census so we don't even understand who's in our country?
It's not funny.
They also want to overhaul the VA. Veterans are upset.
Oh, what? The ones who voted for
They're
Trump?
like, wait, you're going to fuck up our medical benefits?
Of course he is. He told y'all that.
But ain't that crazy? That's one of the things like that's been a bedrock of the Republican Party. It's like supporting our troops.
But he has done awful. He has stood up at many a rally and said awful things about plenty of veterans, and then they went out and voted for him. Mm-hmm. I don't.
And this is the one I think that you already alluded to this because it's been discussed so much already in the wake of the election, and it's education.
Yeah.
Talking about getting rid of the Department of Education.
Yeah.
And just letting each own state handle all of its educational stuff. Like, each state figure it out.
You figure it out. Florida.
You go over there and you learn about the 10 Commandments as if that's like factual history.
You go ahead, Texas.
And over here, we'll say that the sky is blue because not science, but because God painted it blue in the sky.
And we'll also say that slavery was, involuntary labor. And
based on where you live, the schooling standards can just be completely different.
Absolutely. I mean, we have to really rethink about how people talk about slavery. It's not fair how they talk about slavery.
And that's just the learning part. Yeah. We're not a big part of the Department of Education is the funding part.
That's right.
So you get rid of the Department of Education.
Yes. Special education goes away.
Special education goes away. Head Start goes away. Funding for low income families goes away.
Preschools, which people don't understand. Preschools largely come from the Department of Education. Yeah. Those go away. I'm telling you, there's gonna be so many upset white women.
The glee inside of me. I'm telling you.
Gosh. Okay, now listen. Now this is my turn.
Go ahead.
And so, Project 2025 is dangerous, but we have to also think about what comes next and what we have to think about in terms of like folks who are affected by it, right? Mm-hmm. So, when I first heard about all the attacks on abortion and reproductive justice, the first thing I thought was, well, let me get all of my medical procedures taken care of now.
Yep.
Right? Let me make sure that I meet with my gynecological and oncological specialists. And they do have gynecological oncologists, right? These are oncologists whose job it is to do early detection of potential cancers in the uterus, right? Like these are things we have to actually tap into now because those services are going to be very hard to find in Trump's America, right?
And the thing about that, just to tag on to that, is also, right, maybe all of these things that I just listed don't fully come to pass.
Sure.
But even just the chaos of people thinking they could come, or even like a half-baked measure that's like 25, 35, 45, 65% of that, the impacts of that are crazy. So like what you're talking about of just being proactive and saying, let me just get my shit in order now.
Right.
That's what you got to do.
But we're already seeing this happen like right now, right? There's been 4 women who have died across the United States that we know of, specifically because of the current issues with abortion. With the fact that Roe v. Wade was overturned means that there are people who have uteruses who are waiting in emergency rooms for 20 plus hours, sometimes up to 40 hours for simple care like a DNC. A DNC that is a very well-known and easy surgery at this point, has been performed for many, many, many years, but they're being denied in cases where there's a simple stipulation like, oh, well, there's still a fetal heartbeat. So we're not allowed to do it unless there's no fetal heartbeat. So literally women will die of toxicity of their blood or an infection as doctors refuse to offer a service that they're fully prepared to perform. And this is what I'm talking about, right? Hospitals are already dangerous places, especially for Black and brown folks, for poor folks, right? For Black women and Black birthing people, hospitals are dangerous, right? The likelihood that we will die in birth is like 2 or 3 times that of white women. And this is not, people always say, oh, that's a class issue. No, it's not. Serena Williams almost died from a blood clot while giving birth, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is not about class. There are women who go into the hospital to give birth and they never come back out simply because of the color of their skin. So when we talk about these potential effects of Project 2025, we have to always think about the material and empirical world consequences of what this looks like. This looks like not being able to find the services that you actually need when you are in a medical emergency just because of your reproductive organs, right? This means not being able to find that Plan B pill, right? So, hey, it might be a good idea if you have access to a college pharmacist or a college health center to stock up on some of that stuff now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what some of my students are doing. They're going to our campus health center and they're getting additional services now because the nurses are like, we know this might go away. So they're giving them, not guaranteed. They're giving them contraceptives now in advance because they won't expire. So they're like, you know what? You got some time. So here's some extras. Right? Like, that's what I'm talking about. This is also concerning. I mean, the Department of Education stuff is really concerning. And that's something that it's really harder for us to engage with. But the part of Project 2025 that I've really been focused on is the attacks on LGBTQ folks, right? Yep. Like queer folks and trans folks. People don't understand that Project 2025 includes provisions to actually remove queer and trans folks from existence.
Yeah, like so if y'all have a short memory, Trump had banned transgender people from being in the military.
Right.
That was a thing that already happened.
Right.
And Biden was like, no. They
right.
can come.
Right.
What do you think is going to happen now?
Right. He wants to physically, in Project 2025, it says that they want to actually ban terms like gender, sexuality, transgender, and they want to engage in the federal prosecution of parents and any administrators like teachers or librarians at schools who support young people who engage in any form of gender transition. So what they're saying is that they're actually going to criminalize adults who support trans kids, which inadvertently and implicitly and directly criminalizes trans kids, right? And then reduces the likelihood that trans children will feel safe to come out or feel safe to seek any type of help or medicine that they need. Like this is a different type of diabolical. It's like we care for our kids, so we're going to deny them safety and access. Yeah. That's what all this stuff is. Even with the abortion attacks, right? They're not going to keep people from having abortions. People are going to have abortions.
Oh, yeah.
They just won't be safe.
Yeah.
So we're going to see more people dying, and unfortunately, probably more trans folks who are in unsafe situations because they're not going to have the support that they need.
Yeah.
Like these things are scary.
And to me, that's the goal.
It is the goal.
That's the end goal. It's kind of like they started there and said, let's work our way back and say, how do we get there? Because it's a similar thing with immigration, right? It's obviously the border policing and all of that, but it's also, when we think about Project 2025, it's also these measures to basically make it so hard to be here.
Yeah.
As an immigrant,
that
you self-deport, that you just throw your hands up and say, I gotta go.
Right.
It's all of these things that are basically just inhumane.
Right.
To get to the end result that you want. Like, I want people out, so I'm just gonna make it so that you can't be a human here.
Right. And
I don't want you to have control over your body. So I'm just going to criminalize everything around that.
Right.
So you can't get any support anywhere.
And in a way, right, that's also what happens when you remove these agencies. Right? I tell my students all the time that language is so important, naming is so important. And so having an agency dedicated to weather services and the archiving of our weather projections is critically important. Having that history is critically important. The reason why they try to remove agencies is so that essentially no one's keeping watch. Yeah, right. No one is naming, identifying, archiving, and engaging in the process of exploration that keeps us safe. And so when we think about the climate, the reason why this is so dangerous, right? I want people to understand this. This is why it's so dangerous. If we have a break in our known history of our climate, say we have a 4-year break where we don't know shit about what happened, that is a 4-year period where we have no trend line.
It breaks all of the
We
trends.
have no trend line. We know nothing about what has happened with our weather. Just think about this most recent weather catastrophe where we had massive hurricanes all across the Atlantic. And it was like the worst hurricanes in the recorded history. They always say the recorded history. This will essentially create a break in that recorded history. So whatever happens during that 4 years won't even be a part of the record.
It won't count.
It won't even count.
Which makes it so much more difficult to forecast for the future.
Exactly.
Because you now have a gap.
Exactly.
You low-key have to just start over.
Exactly. And that's what we call it, right? That's what we call it. And as social scientists, we call that time series data, right? We create artificial breaks like before and after a certain catastrophe or phenomenon to see if that phenomenon affected anything. And effectively, that phenomenon is going to be Trump.
And remember, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds with y'all on this, but that affects everything, right? You're thinking about climate change, but we're thinking about like weather patterns. We're thinking about animal migrations.
Right.
We're thinking about plants. We're thinking about the composition of the water.
Right.
I mean, everything,
the rate
all of it.
The rate of the icebergs melting.
Right.
Right. Like
temperatures.
Right. You see
the composition of the air.
Exactly. This is actually really scary. And this is why Earth is ghetto and I want to leave.
That's it.
You can find my mom and dad, aka That Black Couple, on the web at thatblackcouple.com. That Black Couple is owned and operated by Color Combos Media. If you would like to help fund our content, sign up at www.patreon.com/colorcombosmedia. Please consider giving us $5 or $10 per month to help us build our platform and grow our organization. You can also give one-time donations at www.paypal.me/colorcombosmedia. All donations are welcome.
All right, we're back.
We're back. And Earth is still ghetto.
It's still ghetto.
And I still want to leave.
I still want to get the fuck up out of here.
Same.
And I you know what? I want to start this off just by apologizing for the last segment.
Why?
Because I we don't intend to scare nobody.
You think they're scared?
I would be. Especially if a lot of that stuff I didn't know before. I'd be like, oh shit.
Trigger warning in reverse.
Shit.
Yeah.
But we believe being informed is being in power.
I feel like if they've been listening to us for any amount of time, they should have had an idea about what the hell was.
Yeah, maybe an inkling.
Because we pretty much keep it very real on this show.
We try.
I think so.
But what we also always do, we might scare you a little bit, put some fear in you.
We bring you back.
But then we bring you back and we say, okay, but there's things you can do.
Pat you on the back.
You don't just have to sit somewhere in a corner and just see the world ending around you. You can take some actions.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, like, go get some prescriptions,
Yeah.
Prepare yourself, fortify yourself.
Yeah.
And I would say, honestly, I think more than anything else, I really believe in knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And so this is the time for you to really get your knowledge levels up,
mm-hmm.
right? Especially as all these people just voted for Trump and for whatever reason they voted for Trump. I think it's going to be very important in the coming 2 years
mm-hmm.
for people to be able to have information, to be armed with information. So when people come to them and say stupid things, or when people come to them crying and they're saying, I don't understand what's happening. Why is this happening? What Trump said my bills were going to go down and they're going up. Trump said he was going to decrease inflation, but somehow it's ballooning. And now all the interest rates are going up. And he said I was going to be able to afford a place, and now I can't afford a place. It's important that we have the knowledge to speak to why people made bad decisions, in the hope that they don't make more bad decisions in the future.
I agree. I also think, so that, that requires reading, right?
Yep.
I think that there's a lot of books that people need to read. You could start with my book, Black Women Taught Us.
Because they did.
They did. And because in that book, I got good citation ethics. And so if you start there, you're going to get a whole host of other books that will be helpful for you to read. But also, like, read the Marxist literature, read the communist literature, read some Ruth Wilson Gilmore, right? Read about abolition, read deeply and widely, read some Stokely Carmichael, right? Kwame Ture. Like, think about where you are lacking, the areas that you are not strong in, right? Like, if your reading on Palestine is not great, go find some syllabi on Palestine and get to reading. Like, if your knowledge of how these institutions work is not good, go work on that, right? I think that I was talking to my friend tonight about this, about how, Trump's last administration and time in office is kind of a rubric for us, and we should have learned from that. Like, that's when I learned how to farm. That's when I was like, I need to get back to knowing how to shoot a gun. Like, there's some things I need to know how to do to protect myself. We need some go bags. Like, that was the first time I said, oh, I'm not really prepared, and I haven't prepared my family for what is to come. And I think people need to really take that more seriously. Like, do you have go bags? Do you know how much water you need to have in your house so that you all can survive if you need to be in that kind of situation? Like, do you have any type of weapons to protect yourself? Are you trained with those weapons? Like, what are your contingency plans? We're not in a good way. We're not in a good way. We had a coup and some assassination attempts already. Like,
it looks bad.
It's looking like the final chapter, you know what I'm saying, of America. And so I think, those are some serious things to consider. But then also get involved in community. Yeah. Like, who's organizing in your network? Who is building a base among people who are like you? And how can you get tapped in? Like, I think those are the three things I'm really focused on right now, is like reading, a lot of reading, a lot of study. This is called study, right? And then, like, getting myself and my family fortified. Do we have what we need? Like, is my household secure? Can we take care of ourselves? And then getting tapped in community. Like, that's the three things I feel like are priorities to get through this next 4 years and beyond. Because if this is where we are right now, I guarantee the pendulum will swing again. And we will be back here again. This is the second time we've been here in the past decade.
And I will say this, like, if you are politically inclined, right, this is the moment when you organize. You don't organize 90 days out from an election.
No, you don't.
You start organizing now. You
don't
start
be just
building
dying.
Those network. Yeah, don't
be no fucking cicada popping up every damn 4 years. Don't be Spirit Halloween of presidential candidates popping up every damn 4 years. Like, hi, it's me, Jill Stein.
Don't do it.
Don't do that shit.
This is the time. And I'm not saying get involved in the Democratic Party, the Republican Party.
No, we're not talking about partisanship.
Get involved in what matters to you, whether it's as a political party, whether it's certain issues or community groups. Get involved now.
Yeah.
And also the other thing, a lot of people, in trying to kind of quell fears, are saying, Trump is a lame duck president, right? Yeah. He can only have one term, right?
Yeah. It's 4 years.
This is it.
You do a lot of damage with that, but yeah.
But also they're saying, assuming this goes the way people think it's going to go, he probably really only has 2 years.
Yeah.
Because we have more elections coming up in 2 years. Yeah. And we're assuming he's going to do a shitty ass fucking job.
Also, he's very old.
Right. Which means he's probably going to lose the House and the Senate. Yeah. Right. He loses the House and the Senate. That really limits how much damage he can actually do. So these 2 years these are the years you got to really watch. Yeah. Right. And again, even talking about organizing, you want to organize so that in 2 years
we're ready.
Things do change.
But also, we are organizing. I think everyone should focus on like one or two primary issues.
Yes.
Right? Like
figure out the ones that are most
If your
important.
passion right now is thinking about Gaza and how we can ensure a free Palestine, focus on that. If it's abortion, focus on that. If it's racial justice and policing, focus on that. If it's abolition in cop cities, focus on that. I think people are trying so hard to be like sanctimonious and pure that they're spreading themselves across all these issues. And in a lot of instances, they're not knowledgeable enough about any of them to do any real work or make any real impact.
Yeah, one of the things you always say is that America is like the worst group project.
It is.
It's like we're like, please. It's just like in Lego Movie when he's like, I just want, can you just stand,
moving.
Just stand
Don't
still.
Move. You're messing it up.
Then you moved again. But
Don't move.
now you're moving.
Sit still.
And to your point, right? Like, we don't need everyone to be experts in everything. What we need is subject matter experts in all the different areas.
That's right.
Right? You don't have to do everything.
You don't.
But if we get good people in all the areas and we have this group project where we all can come together.
That's right.
That's where we can start to see that real change.
That's right. Dig your heels in on the issues that really affect you, that you're really passionate about, and that you can really make some distance on. Like, dig your heels in where you can make some change and stick with it. You know what I'm saying? So that when we come up against this again in the future, because it was 74 million or so people who voted for that man. So we're not just fighting one man and one administration. We're fighting against 74 million people who thought that this was what we should do as a country. Right?
And that's the real fight, and that's the big fight.
That's it. And we have to be prepared for that because Earth is ghetto.
Hello.
And I want to leave. As always, if you have questions, comments, or concerns, or you just want to tell us how great we are, email us at thatblkcouple@gmail.com. Bye.